Alright guys, so in this video I want to talk about what are the best 8 legendary gems for both free-to-play as well as low resonance or low spenders in Diablo Immortal. I haven't done one of these videos since we've actually been able to add the 2 additional gems because I've been kind of playtesting and there's been a lot of other stuff going on. But it really is time, if not overdue, for you guys to get an updated best 8 legendary gems for both low resonance, low spenders, as well as free-to-play. And we're going to talk all about all of those legendary gems and some honorable mentions. So make sure you watch this to the very end, and I'm going to apply some logic that I've always used on this channel. So make sure you pay special attention to that, as well as the very end when I mention the honorable mentions. And without further ado, let's get straight to it. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about in terms of my overall ranking here. So this is going to apply to most characters in the game. And my goal of that is that there are certain legendary gems that are only good for select types of classes, such as range or such as melee or such as channeling abilities and stuff like that, where it doesn't necessarily fit all classes. The 8 gems I'm getting ready to give you are focused on all classes, so you can easily switch to any class in the game, even new classes as they come out, and all of these gems will actually be able to attribute and help your new class no matter which class you're on. So that's sort of my logic. That's how I prioritize these gems. And at the very end, like I said, I will mention some honorable mentions. I might even mention some honorable mentions like just throughout the video. And I'm not saying that all of these gems are going to be 1 and 2 star. There will be 5-star gems on this because there are some pretty, I don't want to say easily, but there are ways to get 5-star gems easier than there used to be. How about that? So first things first, I cannot do this tier list without talking about Fervent Fang. And that is going to be the Battle Pass legendary gem that you can get. You get, I think, 2 for free when you first get the battle pass. Might just be 2 total. So you get 1 in the paid there. You keep going. You get I thought they took that one out, actually. That's funny. So we're at 1, 2 for the paid. None for the free yet. I thought there was actually one earlier in the free, but there's not. Let me know in the comments below if I missed it. So there's only 1 in the free and 3 in the paid. So you get 4 total for the paid, and if you get the $15 one, the battle pass, you can actually get an additional Fervent Fang every month. So that would give you a max of 4 per month just from the battle pass, which is also the only way of getting it, which is why I'm going to talk about this gem first. Now, in general, this is going, or I'm just going to be looking at all these gems as level 1. So it does increase your resonance by 30, combat rating by 12. Each time you deal damage to an enemy, that enemy now takes 0.80% increased damage from your attacks, up to a maximum increase of 8% at 10 stacks. It also increases your magic find, which is unlocked to rank 10, and then increase all damage you deal to elite and boss monsters by 1.5% at rank 3. Now again, all of these percentages will increase as you level up this legendary gem, so keep that in mind. This gem is so good. If you are going to PvP at all in Diablo Immortal, you should have this gem. Now, I want to repeat that. If you're going to PvE, I think I said PvP. If you're going to PvE at all in Diablo Immortal, you need this gem, which is literally 90% of the game. Even if you PvP, you're going to be doing PvE 90% of the time. You're going to want this gem. So make sure you save them. Do not use them as fodder. There are other gems you can use as fodder, but this is not it. But this is going to get the #1 slot for the best top 8 legendary gems for both low resonance, low spenders, as well as free to play. Moving on to the rest of the tier list, we can actually go to the auction house and look at more. I actually saved most of these, so you're going to get a little sneak peek here. So the first 5-star is going to be the Blood-Soaked Jade. It just gives you flat damage. So combat rating increased. You increased all damage you deal up to 8% while at full life, with a minimum bonus of 4% while at low life. Increase your movement speed by flat 10%. So basically, the more life you have, the more damage you're going to be dealing. In most cases, you're going to be probably at full life. Maybe in some harder pushing content raids, you'll be a little bit lower. And then take 2% decreased damage while below 50% life, which you unlock at rank 3. This is a must pick up. Now, when you think about the ways of getting the 5-star legendary gems, it's a lot easier, like I said, so you can actually save your Telluric Pearls, and that would be the only gem that I would recommend you getting as a free-to-play or low resonance, low spending individual in the game. So use your Telluric Pearls on the Blood-Soaked Jade every single time. It is a very expensive gem on the market. I'll go ahead and show you guys that as well. So if you were to try to buy a legendary gem, oh my god, it's just always above 60. This is by far the most expensive legendary gem on the market, and in most cases on most servers it sells out. I'm actually surprised that we have this many available on our server because they usually sell out pretty quickly at any rank. So there's that. I do have the Gloomcast. I'm just going to mention this, go ahead and ahead of time as an honorable mention, because I'll just read it to you. So your primary attack unleashes an aspect of gloom for 6 seconds, during which time your primary attacks will trigger gloom blades that deal 30% base damage plus 275 flat damage. Cannot occur more often than once every 20 seconds. Increase magic fine by 15%. Enemies hit by gloom blades take 6% increased damage from your prior attacks for 3 seconds. So you're going to be doing damage, and you're going to be causing the target to take more damage from you. This is just a really good damage ability, or damage legendary gem that is all about your primary attacks. And in most cases, almost every single class can benefit from this, which is why it's an honorable mention. The next one, actually, let's just go over here. So the next one I wanted to mention is for just a must pick up. So we have 3 so far. We have Bloodsoaked Jade, we have Fervent Fang, and then Mother's Lament is going to be the other one. Reason being is that it is just, it's basically a 5-star gem. It's so good. So when you deal damage, you have a 20% chance of gaining maternal disdain, whatever, increasing your critical hit chance by 12% for 6 seconds. Cannot occur more often than once every 20 seconds. And then when it ends, you release a blood spike towards the enemy, dealing 13.5% damage, base damage to any enemy it hits, and also causes them to bleed. So you're just doing tons and tons of damage for free and increasing your crit rate, which is going to make all of your attacks do more damage. And again, all of these percentages go up the higher the rank is. So that's going to be number 3 on this list is Mother's Lament. The next one is actually going to be Pain Clasp. This is another legendary gem, a 2-star rank legendary gem that is just so good. So this one is going to increase damage dealt by 8% to enemies suffering from a continuous damage effect. This can be from your actual skills. This can be from literally anything that you have that does, if you have Seeping Bile, or what's the other one, the 1-star Everlasting Torment. That's another one that can add sort of a bleed or burn effect to the target. So that's another one that I just think is a must pick up. And then the additional one is when enemies suffering from a continuous damage is within 10 yards of you, your movement speed is increased by 1.5%, which is kind of It's okay for farming, because as you basically dot up people, you can run a little bit faster. But basically, you're just doing flat damage. That's all damage. All damage. Primary attack, skills, everything is going to be doing more damage. And that's what we're going for with this tier list, really, or all these best legendary gems, is I want to buff everything. My goal is to buff literally all damage. I don't want to just buff a type of damage like a primary attack or just skill. I want to buff it all. I want all the buffs. So Pain Clasp gets what? Number 4. So that would be number 4. The next one, let's see, is actually going to be a 1-star. Go figure. It's Berserker's Eye, guys. I'm sure you know about this gem. It just gives you flat damage. Increase all damage you deal. All of it. Every single bit of damage you do. So increase all damage you deal by 5.5%, but also increase the damage you take by 5%, which is meh. And then it also increases your critical hit chance at rank 3. And again, these percentages do go up with every level that you get. And there's just flat overall damage all the time. And the only downside is that you take a little bit more damage, which, again, if you're free to play, you really don't really care about PvP because you're not going to do well in it. So this is in PvE, which you shouldn't really be taking that much damage anyway. So the 5% is going to be literally just non-existent to you, and you're just stacking overall damage buffs to your character. So that's going to be slot 5. Now the next 2, not that one. The next 2 slots, you could, this is where it gets a little tricky, but there's 2 that I'm going to actually recommend because I think that it's good for most classes. The first one is going to be Power and Command. The reason I like this one, this is where it gets a little hairy and it could be debatable by a lot of people, but Power and Command alternates states every 9 seconds. Power increases your primary attack damage by 8%. Command increases your skill damage by 8%. Increase chance to find whatever. You have a 7.5% chance to dispel a negative effect on you each time Power and Command states alternate. So this one is good because 9 seconds is a long time. So you're going to be getting some amount of beneficial bonus, no matter if it's primary attack or in the skills. 9 seconds, you're basically going to have your full rotation at least done 1 time in 9 seconds. In most cases, I should say, at least as long as you're building your build right. So for that reason, this is just, again, additional flat damage that you get, but I will also talk about some alternate options as well. So for the last slot, if I've done my math right, so we got Fervent Fang, we had Mother's Lament, we had Bloodsoaked Jade, we talked about Pain Clasp, and then we talked about Berserker's Eye, so I'm at 5 there. And then I just talked about Power and Command at 6. So we actually have 2 more. So 7 and 8 are actually going to be side by side right here. And I'm going to talk about why. So before you absolutely roast me in the comments, I really want you guys to think about it because it makes a lot of sense, I promise. The first one is going to be Curse Sling. I would prioritize this one in order. So you have a 15% chance when attacked to release a burst of light that blinds all nearby enemies, reducing their vision and causing total loss of control for 1.3 seconds. Cannot occur more often than once every 20 seconds. So it's the downside is that you have to be attacked. And while I did say you're not going to be taking a ton of damage, you are going to be taking damage in PvE, whether it be from a small attack that you don't even see the amount of incremental damage you're taking, or it be from an explosion or something, you're going to be taking damage periodically. But the reason we're going to be picking this legendary gem is actually this bottom part that you unlock at level 3. So deal 3.5% increased damage to blinded enemies. So you're just increasing your total damage again by a flat 3.5%, which will increase as you level up this legendary gem whenever this triggers, because you're blinding, it blinds all nearby enemies. So as long as you are nearby, then you're going to be getting the beneficial effect and the additional damage to the target. Another one which is very, very similar is the Abiding Curse. Very similar situation here to Curse Sling, which is your attacks have a 50% chance to curse enemies, reducing their attack and movement speed by 35% for 2.5 seconds. Cannot curse the same target more often than once every 20 seconds. Now, again, damage dealt to cursed targets increase by 2.5%. So anytime a target is cursed, which only lasts for 2.5 seconds, you will be able to do an additional damage, just flat damage, percent damage to the target. So these are little incremental bonuses and buffs that you're getting to your character for all types of damage. That's why I picked these 8 different legendary gems. And then as promised, there's some decent other options. Now, as such, Lightning Core is really hit or miss. In my opinion, it's not consistent damage. So it says your primary attacks and movement slowly charge up with electricity. When fully charged, your next primary attack will release a chain lightning, dealing 90% base damage plus 1,134 flat damage to nearby enemies. Cannot occur more often than once every 20 seconds. After unleashing chain lightning, all damage you deal is increased by 3% for 3 seconds. Never mind. I did not know this last part was here. I would do this one instead of Curse Sling. Matter of fact, boom. So Lightning Core for that right there alone. So after you do the chain lightning, you do the damage, you also increase all damage you deal by 3%. That feels a lot better than having to take damage. So I'm actually going to give Lightning Core the advantage there. I totally forgot about this bottom effect, and you guys got to see my reaction in real time. So there you go. Not an alternate, the actual primary option. But some of the other ones, a Bloody Reach could even be top 2 on this tier list if you're using a ranged character. Reason being, increase all damage you deal by a percent amount for every 2 yards between you and the enemy hit, up to a maximum of 8% at 8 yards. Increase magic fine. Your attacks have a 0.3% chance to decrease enemy movement speed by 35% for 3 seconds, which is kind of eh. But really, if you're going to be doing a ranged character such as Wizard, such as Demon Hunter, and I guess that's kind of it, right? Are there any other range ones I'm missing? I mean, there's some range builds. Oh, and as well as Necro. Necro's another good one that could benefit from this. So it's really 3 out of the 7 classes, but this is a phenomenal one. Again, just flat damage all the time based off how far you are. You do have to sort of keep it in the back of your mind, but it's definitely worth picking up. So that's a great alternative there. Blessed Pebble is another one that I would recommend for some classes. If you can't get enough increased beneficial effect duration in the other parts of your build from your family bonuses, this is another just great. I even have it just as, especially when I go to the Barbarian or other classes that really need the increased beneficial effect duration. This is just a must pick up. So highly recommend this one. Another 1-star that I think could arguably be in this list, and I went back and forth on including it, is Everlasting Torment. Your critical hits inflict agony, cut out there, dealing 10% base damage plus 122 damage every second for 6 seconds. Each enemy cannot be affected by this more often than once every 20 seconds. So at first you're like, well, you don't crit that often, right? And then it also increases your attack speed by 1.5% for each nearby enemy afflicted with agony. And so at first you're gonna be like, well, you have to crit, which, unless you firestorm a lot, you're not gonna be getting a lot of crits. But you're not. That's not actually true, because one of the main skills I recommended is Mother's Lament, which is increasing your critical strike by pretty hefty amounts. At level 1, it's 20%. So, 20% chance so 12% at level 1. So this gem will make you crit, and you will definitely notice when this gem is proccing. It does a ton of damage. So that is another gem that I would recommend as a honorable mention. We do have some other ones here. So Block, no. Mocking Laughter had a place at what? No, that's not it. What am I thinking of? Trickshot Gem. Where's that? So Trickshot Gem can, again, is a channel ability. So your channeled skills consume energy 8% slower. Not a lot of builds use channeled skills anymore, so it's less of an honorable mention than it used to be. But another one that I could recommend for most classes is actually Carson's Invigoration, because it increases your attack speed by 5.5%, and also increases your primary attack damage. Most, if not all, classes use primary attack in some capacity, so you could make a pretty decent argument for this one giving you a lot of damage. There is another one. It was this one. So damage done by your charge skills, just too meh for me. One of the other new ones, Ironbane, I think. So yeah, your channeling skills have a 10% chance to dissolve enemy armor for 6 seconds, increasing the damage they take by 5%. Cannot occur more often on the same target, more often than 20 seconds. The dissolve effect also reduces the movement speed of enemies by 4%. This is a very, very, very good 2-star legendary gem if you're using channeling skills, but most classes aren't, which is why it's not on my top 8, but it is an honorable mention if you are only going to be using a character that does, or a class that does the channeling skills. So that's going to do it, guys, for this build, or this like top 8. I do feel really good about it, and I think that it would be highly recommended for most people. Oh, that was the other one. Bottled Hope, if you want another 5-star legendary gem, Bottled Hope is another really good one that increases your overall damage. So whenever you use a skill to grant a buff, increase the damage and movement speed of the target by 8% for 6 seconds. And then it also decreases the cooldown of all your skills. So very, very good 5-star legendary gem if you get the luxury of having more than just Bloodsoaked Jade, but I would still prioritize Bloodsoaked Jade. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoy it. I do feel very passionately about this top 8 and the honorable mentions that I mentioned, and for the reasons that I mentioned, because honestly, guys, this is a game where you can really min-max your builds based off what character class you're picking, and as somebody who switches a lot, that's where I really wanted to prioritize giving you more flexibility. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and until next time, lock it in.